What's up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. The figure we're reviewing today is the Transform Element Mirage. His third-party name escapes me at the moment, but it appears to be Mirage. It clearly looks like Mirage. And Transform Element has been doing some good stuff. They came out with that G1 Prime a while ago. There he is, by the way. Size comparison. And that figure is just freaking fantastic. And then they came out with their Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee. That's a mouthful to say. Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee. And that was really good. I don't own one, and I'm not sure if that's a movie figure I'm gonna get. I don't know. Anyhow, that figure was pretty good. And then they came out with this one. So this is they're 3 for 3. This is pretty good looking. As you can see, he cleans up super well. Just looks like he stepped off the screen, more or less. Actually, to be perfectly honest, he looks better than he did on the screen because, I mean, G1 Transformers was an old show from the 80s, and a lot of studios in the 80s just didn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled, but I like a lot of the newer shows in terms of appearance and whatnot. Old shows just, they've got their vintage charm, but like they've also got all of their vintage issues too. So anyhow, this figure is looking really good. In terms of accessories, he comes with his little rifle here. This has got a nasty nub mark on it. I really kind of wish it didn't. That's a little disappointing. It does show that they definitely painted it on the sprue and then cut it off the sprue to put together. But yeah, this is just 2 pieces of plastic just thrown together. Sculpted pretty well. Just thrown with some silver paint all over the top of it. Yeah, there's a few nasty nub marks on here. More of them the closer I look. But it just fits into his hand using the standard Masterpiece style peg system. Fits in, tabs in, close the fist, and he holds it well enough. In terms of other accessories, he comes with an alternate head, which I think the shape of the eyes are ever so slightly different, but by and large, it's basically the same. Like, the actual head part is precisely the same, and well, it's not precisely the same. There's a screw hole on this one that's not on this one. But yeah, it's I mean, I can see a couple really subtle differences, but by and large, it just looks like it almost looks exactly the same. And then in this little sandwich baggie here, he comes with an alternate face where he's got a somewhat more jovial expression. And that one, you would just pop it off, and I'm not sure if it just pops straight off. It looks like it's hiding underneath. Like this whole thing would have to come apart, and on that one it would need to be unscrewed. I don't know if I'm ready to do surgery on this just to show an alternate face, but there is the alternate face. And focus, damn you. Focus, damn you. There we go. So there's the alternate face. And if that's something that you like, it's certainly something that you can swap out. But anyhow, let's get into his articulation. So in terms of articulation, his head is on a ball joint. Now, this whole assembly is on a series of joints and stuff like that. So I've been having this thing has been moving around every time I try to move his head. So that's something that I am going to have to bear with, and by extension, you guys are going to have to bear with a bit. So it's on a ball joint. It turns just fine, looks up all the way up, like super up. No real side to side due to how the peg and the post is done, but you do have an alternate joint here, which is technically a transformation joint, but you can get that giggity 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 goo. His arm rotates around on a hinge joint here, and it goes out for the full tree pose. This little part here rotates and is on a swivel, so you can get out of the way if you need it to. He's got a bicep swivel here, double jointed elbow, nice. Wrist swivel. The thumb is on a pivot, like that. This is kind of an interesting design for a figure. He's got 3 fingers on a hinge, 1 finger separately on the same hinge. He does have a waist swivel, but it's kind of hampered by the stuff hanging down back here. It would have been nice if there was a way that they could get around that, but I mean, a little bit of waist swivel is still better than no waist swivel. If you kind of yank on his hips, he's got an ab crunch. He's got skirt armors in the back that go hardly anywhere because of the stuff on the back, and ones on the front. I don't particularly like this side one being attached to the front one. That's something that I think is super weird, but even if it's sticking out all the way, it's not super egregious. Leg goes forward that much, leg goes backwards that much. Legs go out for the full Van Damme. I'd say that's a good 115% of a Van Damme. Upper thigh swivel here, single joint, double joint at the knee for that much bend, really nice. And then for the toes, he's got an ankle tilt here, and that takes the whole foot with it, which is good. And then when his toe is flat with his leg, not a lot of posability on this toe because it's basically flush with his tire. But when you pull it out a bit, you've got a little bit of pivot on here. This one, I've transformed it twice and now is turning ever so slightly loose. But that's not really a problem. It's going to stand on the shelf just fine. But yeah, there he is in his robot mode. And it's a really good looking robot mode. I think that they're doing they've got a good balance between cartoon aesthetic and a functional aesthetic. So, and there's no real hollow spaces or gaps or whatnot. Like it cleans up super well. But anyhow, let's get him transformed up. First thing we want to do is we want to push on this little thing to remove this missile. Put that aside, throw it in your sandwich baggie or whatever you want. We're going to start at the top and basically work our way down. So for the head, what you want to do is you want to pull his head forward, rotate it around, and then just kind of park it here for a bit. You want to take this flap and bring that up, and that will sit flush against the back of his head. You want to come around to his back and kind of wiggle this engine out. While you've got it in this position here, you want to fold these flaps out all the way. And I'm not going to put that into its final position quite yet. I am going to take this is on a double hinged. You want to double hinge that up. And that folds in like so. So honestly, one of the biggest issues I have with this figure is I've got 2 issues when I've been transforming this figure just to practice and get it all. One is the cannon has got some weird like yoga that it does to get into end position. The other one is this hinge coming up here like there's fighting going on. So we're going to do this in steps. We're going to bring this out a little bit, and then we're going to start getting all of this part ready before we bring this all the way up. So I guess I should do the hands real quick. So bring his thumb in, close up his fist, swap that around, click it into place. There's one done. Other one is done just the same. Thumb, fingers, open this panel, swap it around, close it. You want to take these panels here and fold them out partway. Aha, I actually do want to get this into its end position. So what we're going to do for that is you want to take, there's a hinge. This is not, so this is the hinge for his ab crunch, but you basically want to keep pulling on it and it'll disconnect this big hinge for the transformation. And you want to rotate the waist 180 degrees. That will allow you to pull these flaps out right here and bring this engine down, which will enable you to push these sections together. Now with that done, now you can bring these flaps up the extra amount that they'll need to get them into their final position. So you want to take these arms, bend them at the bicep swivel, fold them up like so, and then you're just kind of move them down into position. I'm not going to put them into their final position here. I'm just going to bring them down to get them out of the way of the next move, which is this head has got to be pushed down, but the wheels are somewhat in the way. So we can move these wheels a bit. There, you can see that slot in there where the head slides up and down on. We're going to push down and hopefully not collide with anything. There we go. There we go. That was nice and smooth. All right, with this head down, we're going to take these arms and push them all the way in. And then a move taken straight out of the Classics Mirage. There's a tiny little tab in the slot on his arms. They don't really like tab, but they kind of seat properly. And you do need to get that done so that you can get these to be sitting properly flush with each other. And now we're coming into the crazy yoga place. You want to take this panel right here and rotate it like so. And then you want to take this cannon and kind of move it out. And then you want to move this wheel out past that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring this up and you're going to pull it up into this position. So it's going to come up and it's going to rotate on this hinge and this hinge simultaneously and then kind of weasel into this spot. And when you have this fully vertical, that will allow you to do that. And it'll sit right into this little divot that's perfectly made for it. And that is the upper body basically done. We're going to just take this and fold these little hook parts out, fold them into place. That's going to cover up the front there. Pull out these little doohickeys here. Make sure that this waist section here tabs back into place, and then we're going to fold out what was the side skirts. They're now going to be cart panels. I always love it when unsuspecting panels suddenly turn into cart panels. All right, now for the legs. What we're going to do is going to bring up the side, the front skirt like that. Actually, this is the back skirt now. The leg is going to rotate in, but I'm going to move it all around while we're transforming it. this panel here is going to come up. This panel here is going to come out. Then you're going to slide this down like so, and then bring this around. There's this peg here that it was pegged into before. Yeah, that's the one it was pegged into. Now it's going to peg into this peg here. And I'm not sure exactly how that works because those pegs aren't even radially the same distance from that pin. Oh, wait, maybe I'm missing something. Whatever. Anyhow, so it's going to come in, it's going to peg into that spot right there. This is going to fold in, and then you can see that there's this little sliding joint here. It's going to fold in and then slide in. You're going to unfold this, bring up this heel on its ankle joint pivot, unfold this, and now what you're going to do is some weird judo with this. Oh, bring the tire out too. So with all this space in here clear, now what you want to do is you want to bring in this whole thing on this double joint. But as you bring that in, you want to fold this one back up so that it comes around. And unfortunately, you do have to kind of do those steps simultaneously. Otherwise, there's not enough space for them to coexist in this area and get, underneath this engine and whatnot. And I'll do that one more time just to show you again. We're going to bring this up, slide this over on its pivot, put this toe kind of into place. There is this wheel is on a hinge. You want to push that up. And then this is just going to kind of basically fit into place. You want to line up the front and the back of these panels here. There's a little tab right in here. It's going to go into a home, and that's basically it. There's another tab back here. You can see that slot. It's going to go into a tab that's on the back end of this engine strut. By the way, if this little blue panel right here pops off on you, like it did on my review copy, spot of super glue will put that right back in place. So, there's one half done. Now let's get to the other half. Let's do it just the same as the first one. But because it's complicated, I'm not just going to rush through it. I'm going to explain it all over again. So you want to bring the leg out a bit. You're going to open up this panel, open up this panel, bring this up, slide this up, and then this tab is going to plug into that slot right there. You're going to fold out this panel here and the ankle rocker here. That's going to allow you to fold out the wheel. You want to rotate at the hip 90 degrees out and then bring this panel up. That's going to allow you to have this leg be all the way out. Now with all the space clear, you want to take this and pull this back in on its double hinge. And while you're getting that into position, you got to squeeze this and fold this hinge back down kind of at the same time. And then you're just gonna bring this out, bring this in, slide this spoiler all the way over, fold this panel all the way in, and then slide it down. And then it's going to fold up underneath this section here. Get these side panels to go together. Get that little tab to go into its home. Get this little tab to go back into its home. And then basically at this point, we're just cleaning up. Make sure all the tabs fit together. Make sure these slots go into their homes. Make sure these spoiler sections get pegged together. Push down on these engine areas, and that will basically finish it out. And that's proper. These are proper. That's in the right place. This is all pegged together. There he is in his vehicle mode. And this guy, this looks basically exactly like the G1 toy car, except a bit bigger because, you know, we live in the masterpiece age and not the G1 age anymore. But that looks just like it. Doesn't have quite as much livery on it. There's, you know, more decals and endorsements and stuff like that that's supposed to go all over this. But, you know, I'm sure if Toy Hacks hasn't made a Repro Labels kit yet, they will. So it seems like there's a little bit of flex on that wing. Bizarre. But yeah, looks good. Looks really good, actually. It's funny, I was looking at this and this says Ford here, right? But the side of this says Gittanes instead of Citanes, and I was thinking, because I was talking to my buddy Matt, who I'm borrowing this figure from, and I was like, it's interesting that they would feel so bold as to name drop Ford, but not name drop Citanes. What is Citanes anyhow? It's some sort of a company, right? And he says, oh, I think it's a fuel company or something. I was like, yeah, it's weird. But no, I actually did the research into it, and Gittanes is a cigarette company, and apparently Gittanes is the original marking, but when they made this, when they had this toy come out back in, you know, the 80s, they didn't want to put a cigarette name on the toy, even though it was a European cigarette name and nobody in America would know what it was. So they changed it to Citanes. And so basically, whoops, I didn't fold that wheel in. So basically, Transform Element changed it back to how it was supposed to be. So kudos on them, I guess. But anyhow, he rolls really, really well. He's got, like, you know, the amount of clearance you would expect out of a formula car. Just really, really looks the part. Would have been kind of cool if we had something like a pilot driver that would, like, magnetically latch into place or whatnot. That would have been kind of cool. But also, as I recall, I don't think that he ever had, like, a holographic driver. Pretty clean on the underside too. Like, it looks good from all of your easily visible angles, but even on the underside, you know, I mean, yeah, this is legs and arms and whatnot, but it's not painfully obvious. It cleans up fairly well. But yeah, it's good. No storage options for the other weapons, but you know what? I mean, for your standard chug style toy, like, I think that weapon storage should always be a thing. Even if it's often half-assed, which in this day and age it is often half-assed. But for the masterpiece figures, because they've got so much engineering into them, like, I'm forgiving them for not having weapon storage. In fact, I'm surprised they've got even this amount. So it looks good. I think transform element. I keep on wanting to say transformation element, and that's not right at all. Transform element is doing a good job. I think they're really just killing it. And I hope that they make a lot more. I'd love to see, gosh, I don't know exactly. I was about to think of something, but it slipped my mind just as I was about to say it. You know how that is. But anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.